students, this is Mr. Gales, and I'm giving you Genetics Video Quiz 2 now. In just a moment, you're going to see a series of questions. Take some time to answer those questions on separate paper. If you need to use a calculator, that's fine. And then when you're done with those questions, I'll go through the solutions with you. All right, here's the questions. So at this point, please pause the video so you have a chance to work through each of these questions. And then when you're done, you go ahead and play the video again, and we'll go through the solutions. All right, here are the solutions to video quiz number 2. First question dealt with what is the universal donor when it comes to blood groups. And when we talked about this in class, we went through these two pictures that you see here. The universal donor is type O, and you can see that here with the type O's that are seen in this picture. Every one of these blood groups, A, O, B, and AB, can get blood from type O. And the reason for that is explained on this picture. If you see the type O, there are no surface proteins or antigens on type O blood that would cause the immune system to reject that blood tissue. All right, so O is the universal donor. Number 2, a yellow-colored Zwiebel and a blue-colored Zwiebel mate and have a green-colored Zwiebel. It does not matter at all what those are. It just matters what kind of inheritance we're looking at. So if you have a yellow and a blue and they have a green offspring, the green is an intermediate between the two of them. So this would be an example of incomplete dominance. Remember that incomplete dominance has a third phenotype. So there are 3 phenotypes. There would also be 3 phenotypes in this situation. All right, number 3, when there are 2 alleles that are both expressed as dominant, what type of inheritance is this? This would be an example of what's called codominance. And this one is easy to remember because when you have 2, right, 2 is co, and they're both expressed as dominant, that would be codominance. And a great example of this one is the blood typing problems. Number 4, what are the 4 human blood types? We have type A, type B, type AB, and type O. And remember that type A can be broken into AA, which is homozygous A, or AO, which is heterozygous A. B is BB or BO. And then AB, of course, would be AB, and type O has got the OO recessive, homozygous recessive condition. All right, what's the probability that a hetero type A mother and a hetero type B father can have a type A child? So hetero type A is your IA little I times your IB little I. And what's the chance that they can have a type A child? So you can go through and do a Punnett square on this one, or you can FOIL this one, and what you're going to end up with is a 1/4 chance that they'll have a type A child. The 1/4, if we FOIL this, the first would be AB, the outside would be AI, which is your type A, inside is IB, and the last would be type O, so it's a 1/4 chance. And then number 6, in fruit flies, red eyes are dominant over white eyes. The gene is X-linked. What kind of female offspring will result from the cross of a white-eyed female with a red-eyed male? So when we do this problem, we have a white-eyed female, which will be X little r, and a red-eyed male is going to be X, R, big R, Y. And so you can do a Punnett square on this one, or you can do FOIL for this one. We're looking at what kind of female offspring will result from this cross. So looking at these 2 genotypes, the female offspring that will result here are going to be all red eyes, but carry the white-eye gene, right? Because if we look at this combination here, we'd have X big R, X little r, and the same thing for this one, X big R, X little r here. So what kind of female offspring will result? All red-eyed females. All right, now going on to the last problem. The last problem is the most difficult problem on this set, and it involves dihybrid, and it also involves an X-linked condition and the blood typing. So hemophilia is caused by an X-linked recessive gene. If a female who is a carrier for hemophilia with type O blood, so let's go through this. Female, carrier for hemophilia and type O blood. So she's XX, tells us that she's female. She's a carrier, so she's normal, but she carries the gene, and she has type O blood, little I, little I. and she has a child with a hetero type A blood and does not have hemophilia. So male XY does not have hemophilia, so he's normal, and it says that he's got hetero type A blood, so that would be IA little I. What are the chances that they would have a son with hemophilia and type O blood? Now we can do this problem a couple of different ways. You can work through an entire Punnett square on this, and the second way that you could do it would be to use the rule of multiplication. So I'm going to show you in this solution how you would do the Punnett square first, and then we'll go through how to do the rule of multiplication. So Punnett square, I'm going to need to get the gametes from each parent. So for the female, the gametes that will result are going to be, if I do FOIL, X big H and I, right? And X big H and I for the outside, X little h and I for the inside, and X little h and I for the last. So remember that you only need to use them if they're unique gametes. So I've got a duplicate here I'm going to cross off, and a duplicate here that I'll cross off. And then for my male parent, by doing FOIL, I have X big H, I big A. And then I have outside would be X big H little I. And then the inside would be my Y and my I big A. And my last would be Y and little I. So in this situation, I'm going to have 4 unique gametes that I need to take a look at. So I'm going to do a Punnett square, and in this case, I really only need to have 8 boxes because I have 2 unique gametes across the top, and I have 4 unique gametes across the side. So working them back together, I have X big H, I, A, little I. And then here, X big H, X little h, I, A, little I. Next one over here is X big H, little I. And then this one is X big H, X little h, little I. Moving down here, X big H, Y, and then IA, little I, and X little h, Y, IA, little I. And then finally I have X big H, Y, little I, and then over here, X little h, Y, little I. So the question was, what are the chances that they would have a son with hemophilia and type O blood? That would be X little h, Y, little I that I'm looking for. And when I go through my Punnett square here, the only one that I see is this one, which is 1 out of 8. Okay, so we can do it that way. The other way we can do it is, of course, to look at if I have these 2 parents, right, this parent and this parent, what's the probability of having that offspring? And I can do rule of multiplication, taking the 2 traits and looking at them individually. So I'm going to do the X big H, X little h times X big HY. What's the probability of having X little hy? And what I'm going to see here is if I do FOIL, I'm going to have kind of think about the combinations that can result. I can have this X big H right here, the first one, go with this one, X big H. That doesn't work. I can have X big H with Y. That doesn't work. X little h with this X big H. That doesn't work. But this X little h with this Y does. So I have a 1/2 chance of having that result. And then I'm sorry, that's not 1/2. It's 1/4 result for the X little hy. And then for the blood type, if I have this genotype and this genotype and I FOIL them, I have my firsts. So this is a little I going with this big A. That doesn't work. My outsides works. This one is the first little I and the last little I over here. Then I have my inside. That goes this one and this one. That doesn't work. And then my last would be this one and this one. That does work. So it's 1/2. And rule of multiplication is multiply the 2 probabilities together. You get 1/8, which is the same way you did it by doing the Punnett square. All right. So hopefully you were able to work through those solutions pretty well. We're going to have another couple of these video quizzes as we end up with our unit. And if you've got any questions, as usual, see me in class. We'll see you next time.
Always under attack, always coming in last, bringing up the fast. No one owes you anything, I think. You need a shotgun blast, a kick in the ass, so paranoid. Watch your back!